Hello and welcome back to the LoveThat podcast. As you may notice, we're not in our usual set today, and we won't be for the next few episodes. That is because where we usually record at the university, it's kind of the summer period now where all the students have finished and they go away for a really long summer period. And because we don't have any students, we can't have anyone film it for us. So we've taken it in-house, and by in-house, we've taken it to my house, and we're currently sat in my kitchen, and we've got
lovely kitchen.
It's a lovely kitchen.
Thank you. And we've got all of our internal video team supporting and filming it for us today. So, yeah, welcome to our New Look podcast for the next few months. So we have a very special guest with us today. His name is Jack Oddie. He's a voiceover artist, but I'll let him do a introduction to himself and what he does on a daily basis. So Jack, over to you.
Oh, hi. Thanks, everyone. Professional voiceover artist, mainly working in commercials, corporate TV promos, plus a smattering of other things, I suppose. But it's really, really quite simple. That's kind of all I do.
Awesome. So you may recognize Jack's voice unintentionally. The first time I worked with Jack, I recognized his voice. I think it was from Tesco, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah. And what else is it? Asda you do as well?
Wix, KFC, Steel. Oh goodness, lots. Nickelodeon. There's too many to mention.
Cool. So basically, what we're doing currently with our podcast, we're looking at a theme for Q1, and that theme is the power of authenticity. So all a part of this episode is going to be about how voiceover is used within content to make it authentic, whether that is obviously using a regional accent or the tone and the feel and the way you portray emotion with the style of voice and the tone of voice that you use. So I guess from a question from me would be, have you ever worked with a client that has solely just wanted you for your regional accent?
Most of the time, to be honest. I think in the industry, I'm only cast really because of my regional accent. Sometimes I'm asked to tone it down a little bit, and I can to a small degree, but it's kind of, you got to kind of ask what they mean by that. But if they wanted someone who spoke in RP, they wouldn't come near me. There's plenty more other people, and they wouldn't come to me and ask me to do another accent, because if they wanted someone from Cardiff or something, you go and get someone from Cardiff rather than someone from Cumbria, where I'm from.
So how does the process work to find you, to get you in contact with a company that wants a particular accent? Do they go directly to you? Do they go through an agency? Do they cast? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, the answer is both. I've got an agent in London, and they get me an amount of my work. That tends to be kind of your bigger clients. You call them agency clients normally in the business. And then if I'm not voicing in the booth, I'm normally trying to get my name out there. I'm relatively established now, but it's good. There's always someone that possibly isn't aware of me, and I'm just on the phone. It's almost like a sales job, really, just getting your name out there.
Mark, how do we find Jack?
One of our clients was a North client, so we were going for the regional accent, and yeah, Dorian gave us maybe 5 or 6 different artists, and we heard Jack's voice, and we loved it, and we put it forward to the client, and they loved it as well. So from that kind of moment, we just used Jack's voice all the time for any work for that specific client.
And I'm very grateful, thanks.
And Jack, just in terms of how long you've been doing this, how have you noticed any kind of uptake in that regionalisation for when you're getting involved with campaigns, whether that's commercials, radio, etc.? Have you noticed that, the northern kind of arms of different businesses are starting to really hone in on that regionalisation?
I became full-time around 2016, 2017, and I think it was there already. But I had, as a kind of media geek, I've noticed, I think that it used to be, when I was growing up as a kid, you wouldn't really hear very many northern accents advertising products. Growing up in the 90s and things. So it's certainly changed. And I think it is still evolving a little bit in terms of, you hear kind of Australian accents now on UK radio doing things for Zero and things like that. So I think it is evolving still, and we've got to kind of keep our finger on the pulse to just see kind of what happens with it in the future, because I don't really know the answer.
And one of the things that we're noticing with our clients is they're really starting to pay attention to how they script particular screenplays or commercials, etc., etc. Do you happen to notice any kind of colloquialisms? I think that's the right way of saying that. Apologies if I didn't. So when you might be, reading your scripts for different, projects, do you notice that sometimes they slip in more or less of those kind of regional words that particular areas use, or do you feel that it's still quite they're still kind of new to that, and it's more that the message is out there, it's in that regional tone, but they don't necessarily dial right into that regionality?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard too many kind of sort of northern quirks in the scripting. I can't say I've noticed it. Maybe as a northerner, I'm not noticing it because I think it's normal. I suppose there is that option, but I don't think so. No, I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't. Unless I'm really unaware, but I don't think I've noticed that. No.
I guess that's the trick, isn't it? Is that where you have your accent, it's an authentic accent. It can sometimes be hard to differentiate between, what is just your day-to-day normal kind of speaking, and then what it is that the client is then dialing up or dialing down, like you said.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. It's a funny one. It's and the voiceover industry is quite it's diverse. There's people from certainly in the UK. There's people from everywhere in the UK that is represented. I would imagine, and we talk about this amongst ourselves quite a lot. But there's I don't think there's any real bias towards a particular accent at the minute. I think that sort of maybe Northerners are often cast as like builders and blokes and things like that, and for some reason we Northerners and I live in Newcastle. I'm not a Geordie, but Geordies are seen as authentic, but I mean, which I've never really understood, because everyone's authentic. They're a real person behind the mic. So I think it's possibly comes down to the scripting and the sound design and from the brief from the original kind of from the final client, whoever you're advertising or whoever you're working for, whichever brand it is. So I think there's authenticity in all of us, in every single voiceover. It doesn't matter where they're from, as long as the other elements that make a good production, the scripting and sound design, like I said, are all married up and nailing the brief.
Yeah. And would you say you have any kind of direct northern competition that you know that you usually go up against in terms of briefs from agencies?
Yeah. There's 3 or 4, and we're always. Sometimes if I get a last minute job, I go, "Oh, was such not around?" There's definitely 3 or 4 other guys that I'm not sure if they're possibly as aware as I am, but sometimes when you get to know the client, they go, "Oh yeah, we put you such and such and such and such up for the job," and I go, "Oh yeah," and there's a pool of Ethios, female voiceovers, that are also northern, and they're often my girlfriend or my wife or my sister.
Of course.
And just in terms of the projects that you work on, does it tend to be solo, or do you find that you have to, there'll be another person doing the voiceover so you get that kind of conversation?
Yeah. as a rough estimate, I would probably say 60-70% solo, and the rest with someone else. So you sometimes record. You might team up with the other voices and go off each other, but normally you do your lines by in a session, and the producer will record you doing them, and whoever was recorded first, sometimes they might if it was me and you, they would play what you recorded earlier, each sentence, so I could like play off it, and sometimes it's not like you're playing off each other. Sometimes you've got different jobs, so I might do the I did an ad recently where they got a celebrity, and then the celebrity did the main bulk of the ad, and my job was literally to go, so to do this thing, go to this website.com. So do you know what I mean? So I was the selly person, and the celebrity was the funny person that brought a lot more. Yeah. The ad was more about them than it was me, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, do you find it hard when you don't have that initial interaction if you're recording like a double act?
Yeah. No, I think it's part of the job, and the guys directing you normally have a pretty concise idea of what they want. So as long as you listen to them and react and actually do what they say, you can usually work pretty quickly together, and once the final audio is done, you'll never know that we weren't in the same room together or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's what I find really interesting, actually, is because, when it comes to authenticity, you always think two people need to be in a room to have that conversation, to get that real kind of
Chemistry.
streamlined tone to whatever you're talking about. But actually, if like being naive to video production and audio design is that actually these kinds of things, they're recorded every day from people in different sides of the world. So it's quite unique, isn't it, really, to be able to give across that you've been sat in that room with that person the whole time, when actually that they might have been in America and you were in Newcastle, and yet you don't notice the difference. That's quite exciting.
The unsung heroes are the sound designers and the producers, because they're so good at what they do. It's those guys that achieve the sort of flawless result. It's not necessarily. I mean, the voiceovers play a part because I suppose we're good at what we do, but without them, probably will sound slightly disjointed. Maybe not to the layman, but certainly to audio people.
I guess it's the same with film content as well, because I watched some of the behind the scenes of some of these animated movies that come out, and you see, or you experience the actor. And they say, oh, yeah, I had to go into the studio alone to read all my lines. But actually in the film, they're having a conversation with someone else. But they can't record until like 2 weeks later. So like you say,
it's the magic touch that they've got. And I suppose it just comes from skill and experience. Yeah. Like all good pros at with a trade, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
But this is a classic example, right? Is that, as consumers, we look at the final product of something and judge how successful it was, or how good or how authentic it was, when actually it's not the final product at all. It's something much earlier in the process, and you can apply that logic to design or digital or video or sound design. Is that final product has become what it is and is as successful as it is because of that process before it. And that's where, that expertise in understanding how to script and how to edit and produce and direct these types of, whether it's a shoot or a recording, is really, really important. If all of those elements of the project do their job, then kind of the end piece or the end solution is already kind of done for itself, if that makes sense.
Some of the parts are greater together, and I think that's why production costs what it costs, because there's not just a lot of gear and tech involved. It's expertise and experience as well that achieves that kind of flawless thing. That you're right, no one really. Well, it's not designed to be thought about. It's designed to again to be 30 seconds of audio.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just a bit conscious of time now, Jack. I know we've only got a few more minutes before you have to leave. But there's one thing I wanted to ask you, and that is, could you potentially tell us about some of the weird and wonderful jobs that you've done in your career so far?
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose it's all weird because all day you just talk to yourself in a panic room.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah. It's the same with people who are on radio. That's all they do. You know, they sit in a room for 4 hours. Weird and wonderful things. I don't know. I think luckily most of them are wonderful things, and that makes me sound really big-headed. But I've managed. You know, I'm grateful to have worked on quite a lot of award-winning stuff. Oh God, I don't know. A lot of it's.
Which was the first one then? Which would be like your big break, the one that made you think maybe I can do this as full time? What was that big project?
Oh goodness. Well, I'll put that answer in 1 minute as best as I can. So my background was writing radio commercials, and that you would pitch to your client sometimes like this, you know, like just with a little bit of production music under you, and you'd pitch, and then they'd either go, oh, and this didn't happen all the time obviously, but they'd either go, oh, we'd like you to do it, or you would go, here's what we think your radio ad should sound like. Here's the show reel of the person we'd like to do it, and then you go away, and they'd sign it off, and you go away, and then they would go, actually, we preferred it when you did it, so you go back and do it. So it was basically that. I sort of took the plunge, like I said, around 2016, 17, and because I knew people I knew I was all right at it, and I wasn't perfect at it then. I'm still not, but you get better and better as the years go by. So I hope that answers your question.
That's fine. Yeah, of course. No, it's been really insightful to hear from you today, Jack, and we really appreciate your time. It's a shame we've run out of time. Yeah,
I know. It was good. It was really interesting. So if you want to pick it up one day, but that's
I mean, we definitely are up for coming back for a second round. So
I feel like I can't end this session without you giving us your favourite line you've ever had to say. There's got to be one. There's got to be. We won't let you log out until you do.
Right. I literally did a talk the other day in London, and I was talking about, there was an ad that won an award, or was nominated for an award, and it was about life insurance, and it was something like, tell us what wants to happen to you when you die. So it's all about life insurance for young people to make it like a bit more fun. Whether it's paying off the mortgage, doing something else, or getting a big bronze statue of yourself, then the music could cut out naked.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, we've used your time up, Jack, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. And,
my pleasure.
We'll catch up soon.
All the best, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Cheers, Jack.
Bye.
Mark, from our side, how do we go into that process of finding the right voice, or finding who do we need, who do we look for?
So, I mean, there's hundreds of factors that you need to kind of take into account when you're looking for that special voice, that one voice that is going to really work for the piece. Most of the time, you have to work quite closely with the client to find out their needs, and then you have to think, okay, so what is the age range of the person that we want to sound? What is their gender? Sometimes, and more kind of recently, what is their ethnicity? And then regional. And then you also have the factors of, do we need like an epic sounding deep voice, or do we need something a bit kind of more corporate, or something a bit more kind of normal and
I'm waiting
standard.
for you to say squeaky so that I get to do voiceover.
I didn't want to go too much in.
Corporate might really suit the three of you. Not saying that you guys aren't highly commercial, I'm sure you are, but corporate voice in there. Yeah. Corporate is epic without epic setup is difficult to do, but corporate will make you sound expensive. Commercial will make you sound expensive.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, with corporate, obviously, it's quite a standardized kind of voice that you look out for, and it is a lot about what your actual video is about. I mean, 9 times out of 10, we're doing a corporate video, but for that one kind of brand piece or campaign where we need kind of a specialist voice, that's when we have to kind of dig in deeper. And sometimes the client wants us to search for celebrity voiceovers. So I know for one of our clients, we used George Clark. Thanks, John. George
That was
Clark.
our senior video producer there helping us out.
I think he edited it. That's why. We used George Clark from Channel 4. He does all the kind of a bit like Kevin McLeod with the design. Amazing Spaces. That's the one. Or the home renovation pieces. And we used him because obviously we were making a video about upgrading homes to become more energy efficient. Right, and we thought he's a perfect spokesman for that. George kindly reduced his fees because we were working for a not-for-profit client, and we managed to obviously get them a really good voiceover for what we needed.
How much do you think the script would change from being written to actually being read out loud? Because I think Jack mentioned that he used to do a little voiceover himself once he wrote the advert before he went to the artist. Do we do the same?
That's a scratch track, right?
Scratch track. So yeah. So when we have a script, we will record it ourselves, or whoever's editing will record it, just so they can get the timing of the edit, and we can start the edit process before waiting for the voiceover to come in. And yeah. So I mean, to your question, Marcio, the script will change. It won't change much, but it will change sometimes dependent on how the read is going. So if we feel like they're struggling with saying a certain sentence, we may have to move some of the words around so they can say it more naturally for them.
Yeah.
And like with the regionalisation, sometimes we'll just let the voiceover artist say it how they would say it.
So to get the idea and then almost make it their own, just
make it their own. And I for Jack, I think sometimes he would just read the script and he would nail it, but sometimes he adds that little bit of extra regionality, which I think really kind of emphasizes what you're trying to do within the script and give it that authenticness as well.
I think what's quite interesting from the standpoint of what we're trying to do with the podcast is that we're obviously sharing our thoughts and bringing in different guests to talk about different subjects, but it's that balance of us keeping it conversational, like we would have a chat in the office, and then obviously doing that in a way that is clear and concise for people that are listening. So to come back to kind of that, what kind of voice do we need to use, or what we're looking for when we're doing projects for clients, that corporate voice can sometimes be misconstrued as being stuffy or uptight, but actually what we're saying with a corporate tone is that it's clear, it's easy to follow, and it's confident, I think, are the important things for corporate, because usually there is a very clear message at the end of that you want someone to either take action to, a behavioural change. And sometimes you need that clarity in that voice to be able to do that. So I think there's a place for all of these different voice times and different kind of tones that we incorporate into projects. But it's those day-to-day conversations, it's things like these podcasts where you don't really notice how important that might be for people to actually want to listen to what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think where you say about corporate and getting that kind of clear message across, I think a lot of clients are changing their perception of corporate as well. So we have a specific voiceover artist that I will go to in the first instance for some more of our kind of corporate clients. And she, in terms of her tone of voice, she's a bit more kind of younger, but also a bit more kind of edgy, in the sense of she has a kind of South London twang to her voice, which kind of brings it, she's still kind of really well spoken, but she has that little twang that kind of makes it more accessible for...
It's more human, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're not robots. We don't all sound the same. I mean, the three of us are completely different. Mark and his dulcet tones, Marcio and his his excellent.
Careful.
Exotic.
That's the word I was thinking. His exotic accent, and then me that always sounds like I'm on helium. It's the three of us combined. We're very, very different, but being able to have that little kind of dash of personality for what we're talking about. And sometimes the subjects are very formal. We might be talking about, important subjects, but it's talking about different subjects and different kind of importances and priorities, whether that's something like inclusivity and accessibility, or later on this month we'll be talking about teams and growing talent. But you get to hear it from our different perspectives, and the beauty of a podcast is you're kind of, if you are just listening to us rather than watching the YouTube video, you can still get that hint of personality through the fact that we all do sound very different, and you get that little bit of us through sound rather than just what you see on the screen.
Yeah.
I think in the bit that we're doing that about authenticity, I'm trying to get the right voice or the right elements to create that feeling. Is that we're still trying to create that, trying to recreate that, because it's not specifically or literally speaking an authentic moment, because it's not spontaneous. We're trying to make it sound natural. We're trying to make it sound like the audience we're trying to reach, and I think that's the shift that we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to do with the authenticity, trying to make it sound like the audience, sound a part of them rather than someone telling them what to do.
Yeah, it's about having that connection with the audience.
Connection, yes.
And I think to do that, it's about having a normal conversation, not putting a voice on, just being yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And it's being yourself and just being in the moment and really listening to what other people are saying so that you can respond properly. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen, TED Talks and things like that where they talk about the fact that, are you really listening to what the other person is saying? And if you do try and just listen to someone without any other thoughts, your laptop in front of you, notes, looking at your phone, it's actually really hard to do. It's really hard because as a society and our culture, something is always trying to vie for your attention. So that, again, is something that, when we're producing content for clients, not only are they having to think about competitors, the audiences, but it's also, what else out there is vying for their audience's attention. And that, that can be where commerciality comes into the conversation. What competitors or what conversations are happening in the wider landscape that you have to compete with to make your audience think, why do I want to listen to that? Why do I want to look at that? And that's I think getting harder as things evolve and move forward with technology and social media and things like that. So I think it will be a really interesting evolving process on how important it becomes that those kind of individual personalities of brands or products or regions start to play into how we talk to each other through our businesses.
Yeah. It'll be really good to get Jack back in for another episode in the near future.
Yes.
Definitely.
Cool.
It's probably worth pointing out as well is that where we are filming in a different location, Mark's whole team is right in front of him, watching everything we do. So it's
Thank you guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help and support.
I like that you keep telling him to stop playing with things.
On that note, thank you very much for watching and listening to this episode. And next episode, we are meeting the team, aren't we? Our team.
Yes, exciting. We're going to be talking
They're
about...
terrified, but
they are.
Shh,
they'll love it. It'll be fine.
But yeah, we're just going to dive into, obviously, our team, how we grew our team, the ups and the downs, the issues, the fun, and you'll meet some of them as well, which, hopefully it will be a good one. So, yeah, I think that's it for now. But thank you again. If you want to get involved in any kind of social media conversation, pop a comment below the video, or Marcio, email.
Yeah, email us at hello@lovethat.co.uk.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you all
guys.
later.
Bye.
Bye.